What's up? My name is Warren Freeman. This is Warren's Vlog, episode 65. And tonight I'm reviewing Monday Night Raw, March 5th, 2018. Um, this show was okay. It wasn't inherently horrible to where I wanted to pour bleach in my eyes or automatically declare SmackDown the winner for the week. So, let's see how the show panned out. Alright, so we start off the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour. We have a Kurt Angle promo. He comes out. He challenges Triple H. Well, before Kurt Angle gets on the mic, they basically explain the Ronda Rousey situation from the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view to what happened there, to what happened on the Raw after, and to what happened last week on Raw. So the past 8 days are basically summed up by the announcers in still shot photos. Any music you hear, I do not own the rights to. So, Kurt Angle gets on the mic. He, calls out Triple H for a fight. Predictably, Stephanie McMahon comes out. Like, you could see this coming from a mile away if you've been watching wrestling for years and years. So Stephanie comes out and basically does what she does best, and that's emasculate people. She basically says, Kurt, I know you have kids. Your youngest daughter's 1. You're remarried, so I know the alimony's a bitch. So basically, and then she puts him over a little bit with all his accomplishments, being, a Hall of Famer, being an Olympic gold medalist. But then she says, but that doesn't pay the bills, does it? However, being the general manager does pay the bills. So basically, minor P's and Q's. Ronda Rousey comes out and grabs the microphone. They have a little exchange on the mic, but basically the key points of this is Ronda Rousey says, or Stephanie McMahon says, you signed the WWE contract. And it just so happens the contract you signed, you work for the WWE, the part that I oversee. That being Monday Night Raw. And Ronda says, yeah, I know I signed my contract, but my contract also says that I get to pick my opponent at WrestleMania. Stephanie rebuttals and says, well, yeah, as long as it's not a champion, and as long as the person is an active member of the roster. So Stephanie says, okay, let's get a drum roll going. And Ronda botches the drum roll. You had one job. You had one job, Ronda. Timing. Timing is very important. So before the drum roll effect even comes, Ronda says, well, I'm going to challenge you. Then Triple H comes out and says, oh, no, this isn't going to happen, blase, blase. Kurt says, wait a minute, I'm the general manager, I make the matches. Stephanie, yes, you are an executive, but you also have a second contract that says you're a WWE superstar. And you're not the only one that has a second contract. Triple H, you also have a wrestler's contract. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mixed tag team match, player. He didn't say player, I'm just putting my Teddy Long spin on it. But basically, Kurt Angle announces that it's going to be Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon in a mixed tag team match. Triple H tries to cheap shot Kurt again. Kurt decks him in the face, attempts the ankle lock. Triple H reverses Kurt into the buckle. Ronda is distracted by this. Stephanie clubs Ronda from behind. Ronda gets up and gives her that mean Ronda look. Stephanie runs out of the ring. Triple H attempts to pedigree Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle counters to the ankle lock. Kurt Angle grapevines the leg into the ankle lock. He reaches for Stephanie, and Stephanie kind of pulls him out of the ring, away from the ankle lock. Then Ronda Rousey grabs Stephanie by her hair, yanks her up into the ring, and gives her a Samoan drop. Now, this was awesome. Because, number one, Stephanie McMahon in particular never gets her comeuppance. Or when she does, it's rare that she gets it. But her and Triple H got her comeuppance tonight. Now, my issue with this, and I just realized something, but my issue with this is, are they getting their comeuppance too soon? I mean, because it's starting to remind me of the whole Sting program from 2015. Where Sting was basically had the upper hand on Triple H the entire build until WrestleMania 31. Ronda Rousey has had the advantage the entire build so far. And I don't want them to do that pattern where the faces have the advantage the entire build, and then lose at WrestleMania. I don't think they'll do that to Ronda Rousey. And if they do it to Ronda Rousey, it'll be Kurt Angle that takes the fall. But who knows? Yeah. And I kind of think the whole Kurt Angle Triple H thing is being wasted a little bit in this Ronda Rousey Stephanie McMahon feud. And you could tell it's all about Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon because even in the graphic that they showed, you see Stephanie McMahon and Ronda Rousey in the center, and then you see Kurt Angle and Triple H off to the side. So clearly this is, a Ronda Rousey, Stephanie McMahon program, and I'm not sure if I want to see Triple H and Kurt Angle wasted in that. All right. So that's the first segment. Then we go to Asuka versus Nia Jax. Arguably, this match was better than the match of the pay-per-view. I mean, they're neck and neck. I'm going to go ahead and just give this match on Raw tonight the nod over the pay-per-view because it was more drama involved. Nia Jax hit this weird razor's edge, but it was like a razor's edge where instead of landing on your back and shoulders, you land on your face. Nia Jax will hit a Samoan drop on Asuka for a 2 count, but the 2 count would be broken with the rope, with Asuka getting in front of the rope. I had a problem with that because I had a problem with the move in general, not the move itself, but the fact that the Samoan drop was used in 2 consecutive segments. We're assuming that Ronda Rousey's finish is going to be the Samoan drop, okay? So then Nia Jax does it in the following segment, and it gets kicked out of. Well, it doesn't get kicked out of, but it still gets a 2 count. And it's stuff like that. Usually you see this in indie shows a lot, which is why it was kind of to see it on WWE. I mean, this is supposed to be a worldwide leader in professional wrestling, and you're doing shit at indie shows. I mean, at an indie show, you'll see a super kick in every match. And then maybe one of those matches, the super kick will end the match. And then in a later match, somebody hits a super kick, and they kick out. That's just not something I would expect to see in the WWE. And maybe they didn't mean to do it, but it caught my eye because I go to a lot of indie shows. Did not like that. But I did like the fact, I liked the false finish, though, with the rope break. That was cool. Okay, so then we go, out of that, we go to a commercial break, actually. We get back to commercial break. Asuka gets the armbar, which is another callback to Ronda Rousey, who we saw in the previous segment. But I'll let that one slide. So we get an armbar. Nia Jax is in an armbar. She's laying on the mat like this. She powers up and lifts Asuka into the air. Then Asuka transitions into a triangle chokehold. So now Nia Jax is in the air. She can do triangle. She powers out of that. Asuka transitions back into the regular armbar. And Nia Jax tapped out. Yeah, this match was way better than a match of it. Well, I'm not going to say way better, but this match on Raw was better than a match of the pay-per-view. I will say that. And after watching it, I'm like, why the fuck wasn't this on the pay-per-view? Because this match was fucking awesome. So Asuka's still undefeated. Also, there's just, I mean, I put this in the thread on Chair Shot Wrestling. Or the Chair Shot. It's no longer Yes Wrestling. It's the Chair Shot. I'm still an admin, so go to Facebook and check me out. Along with Greg DeMarco, Harry Broadhurst, Tony Acero, and others. Anyway, I posted a comment on there saying that I just lost my train of thought, actually. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But, basically, yeah, what I just said about this match being on the match on Raw should have been on the pay-per-view. That's what I said in the thread. So then we go, after the match is over, and I'm not going to take credit for this. It's not my thing that I said. It was Joseph Zerg, who's a member of the Chair Shot. He said that Nia Jax got the Benoit treatment with the fans standing up and applauding. And if you don't know what that is, it's a callback to the Royal Rumble 2003, which Kurt Angle and Benoit had an amazing match. Probably the best match of that year. And Kurt Angle won, and after Kurt Angle left the ring, Benoit got the standing ovation. And I would review that show if it didn't suck so bad, but maybe I'll review it one day. But the only redeeming match of that show was Kurt Angle and Benoit. I'll probably will just review it just so I can tear it apart and have fun with it. All right. So then we go. We're still in the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour. We go to the Revival versus the Bar. Okay. 2 problems with this match. 3, but I'll hit the 3rd problem when I'm done with this segment. Okay, first off, you have the Revival and the Bar. Both teams are heel. So, who am I supposed to cheer for? The fans in Milwaukee sat on their hands until the match picked up. Which, I'm a fan of Cesaro all day. And I'm going to cheer for Cesaro regardless. But as far as an emotional pick, I have none because they're both heels. So I guess I was just cheering for Cesaro just because I like Cesaro. So that's the first problem, heel versus heel. Second problem, why are you giving away a potential Mania match for free? Why? Because the stipulation here is if the Bar won, the Bar would go on. Oh, I'm sorry, if the Revival won, the Revival would go on to WrestleMania to face the Bar for the tag titles. So if that's the case, why give that away for free on Raw? Problem 2A. This is still part of 2. Both made tweets on Twitter basically saying that they beat everybody on Raw, which is true. The Revival beating everyone, the Bar is beating everyone. And in their tweets, they said the only team they hadn't beat was the opposing team. So that's even more of a dumbass reason to have them face off on Raw. If both teams have never faced, why do it on Raw? Why not build that up to WrestleMania? Let that be your story going into WrestleMania. You never beat me. I never beat you. There's your story for WrestleMania. It's perfect. It fucking writes itself. You got 5 weeks left. You could have an in-ring promo. You could have Scott Dawson versus Cesaro. You could have Dashwater versus Sheamus. You could have Dashwater versus Cesaro. You can have Scott Dawson versus Sheamus. Or some shit like that. You could have a combination of those 4 meet in single matches up until WrestleMania. Boom, you have your tag title match, and you have the story of you never beat me, I never beat you, and you have the tag titles on the line. Perfect. No, they blow their... Do they do that? No, they blow their fucking load in the first night, and that's not even the worst part. The Bar retained. The Bar wins. The Bar beat the Revival. So any momentum that the Revival could have gotten is completely killed off tonight. Any chance of believability that the Revival is a threat is gone tonight because you have the Bar win. So even if they do this at WrestleMania, the intrigue is gone or is completely gone. And that it pissed me off. But because they did this, maybe they'll go with my idea of having the Usos face off against the Bar. That's if they don't pull the trigger on the Bludgeon Brothers. Or if the New Day doesn't defeat the Usos this Sunday at Fastlane. Which, by the way, I am planning on going to Fastlane. So I will have my prediction video for Fastlane. And I will have my review for Fastlane. Because I took the Monday after off work. So I'll probably, in the morning, do my Fastlane review. But anyway, the Bar wins, and where do you go from here? Who knows? Okay. Moving on. We go into the 9 o'clock hour, and we start with a Cena promo. And Cena says, hey, I'm here to talk about, I came here to Monday Night Raw to talk about SmackDown. And the fans just boo. But Cena's reasoning was kind of legit. I gotta give him credit. I'm parched. Cena's reasoning was kind of legit. Because Cena basically said, well, all the opponents that I have to face Sunday, Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and Kevin Owens, I wouldn't be able to say what I want to say without them interrupting, which was a legit point. Basically, what he said was something that could have been said on SmackDown. But basically, he said, oh, I'm going to break the record. I'm going to break Ric Flair's record of 17 World Championships when I win this Sunday. That was basically it. Oh, and he said that when he wins the WWE title, he wants AJ Styles to use his rematch clause so it can be a triple threat at WrestleMania. No. And just no. Because is AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Don't fuck with that. They're about to have their rematch from Japan. Just don't. Let the marks have something, John. Okay? Just let us marks have this little thing. Okay? Shinsuke versus Nakamura, or Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Just let the marks have this. Okay? Or the smarts, I should say. Let us have this one, John. And you go, and you have your little ballet dance with The Undertaker, and just let us have Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles. Don't fuck it up, Cena. Alright. So Goldust comes out, and I'm intrigued because my wheels started spinning like, Last time I saw Goldust was during the Mixed Match Challenge, which I was thoroughly entertained by. So he comes out, he confronts Cena, and he says, my dreams are going to be realized by stopping you from going to WrestleMania. And I just basically summed it up. He punches John Cena in the face, commercial break, which is just a weird time to go to commercial break. So we come back, Cena and Goldust are wrestling. And Goldust is doing all this 1995 shit when he's like rubbing on Cena's chest. It's a little uncomfortable. There's a spot where Cena is like laid up on Goldust and Goldust is on top of him. And I don't know what Cena said to Goldust. I think Cena said, rub my chest again. Or something. That's what it looked like. So he might have said, rub my chest again and then let's go home. I'm completely making that up, but that's what happened. Like, Goldust rubbed his chest. Then they went to the whole same old shit. Shoulder block, duck, clothesline, spin out, powerbomb, five knuckle shuffle, you can't see me, the attitude adjustment. 1, 2, 3. Alright. So, alright. We go backstage. Elias tries to get out of the match with Kurt Angle. And I actually like this little bit backstage because Elias says, you know, you got me booked in a Sympathy of Orchestra or whatever, Sympathy of Destruction match. And music is supposed to bring people together, not tear them apart. Kurt Angle says, okay, I'll consider it. 3 seconds later, okay, I've considered it. You're not getting out of the match. And it's Falls Count Anywhere. We come back from commercial break. Hillbilly Jim is announced to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I wasn't really an 80s fan, so I don't really know too much about Hillbilly Jim, but congratulations to him and everything he contributed to the business. We go back from that. Bayley has an interview with Charlie Caruso that gets interrupted by Paige. Charlie Caruso asks Bayley about why didn't you know, like you dropped off the apron when Sasha was going to tag. Why'd you do that? Bayley starts to answer. She stutters a little bit, and Paige comes out. And this might have been my favorite part of the show. So Paige comes out, and she, like, holds her hair like she has a ponytail and just completely starts to mock Bayley, and it's hilarious. They go into a match with Mandy Rose versus Paige. And the announcers really put over Mandy Rose's strength. Like, they talk about how she can squat 300 pounds, which is more than twice her body weight, and that's pretty cool stats. But Bayley wins. I don't know where with a roll-up, Absolution comes out and jumps her. Sasha comes out for the save, you know, and chases away Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Sasha picks Bayley up, Bailey kind of, pushes her off. Sasha goes for a hug, and Bailey pushes her off again. Liam mugs her and gets out of the ring. And it's like, it's just kind of weird to me. Like, Sasha comes out, makes the save. Bailey won the match, but they're playing Sasha's music. So it's like they're making it seem like Sasha is still trying to steal the spotlight from Bailey. And they really drove that point home even further, at least with me, when they played Sasha's music at the end. Like, maybe that's just a coincidence. Maybe I'm looking into it too much. Who knows? But, so yeah. Then we go backstage. They replay the Nia Jax match, or the end, or the conclusion to it. And, Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax have this like emotional segment backstage where Alexa Bliss is comforting Nia, or she appears to be comforting Nia. Then Nia just starts crying, and I mean that was some real shit. Like that was probably the most realistic part of the show, at least for me. When Nia Jax just broke out in tears. All right, so we go into the 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock hour, and Sympathy of Destruction is everything I thought it was going to be. Elias comes out and plays the piano, which resonates with me because I play the piano. So, I mean, that's cool. He plays the drums a little bit, says, unlike Braun, I'm more than just a one-note joke. I can play the piano, I can play the drums. He plays the guitar with a pretty catchy tune going on in the ring. Then he says, I want a formal introduction. So the lights go out. And I think they fucked this part up a little bit. The lights go out, and usually JoJo will say, and now Elias. And Elias is sitting in the ring strumming the guitar. Well, the lights went off, and they came back on, and the ring was empty. If they would have just kept the camera on the ring, instead of putting the camera back on Elias, showing him run out of the arena, that would have been better. Like, they could have just kept the camera on the ring. You could have Elias run out of the building, and then the camera pans. You don't see him anywhere in the arena, and then you see an outside camera of Elias getting in the car, and then that's how I would have filmed it. But they showed Elias running out of the arena, running in the backstage, running out of the building, getting in the car. He starts the car, he puts it in gear, and it revs. It just revs. And this is some serious editing here because the camera switches again to behind the car, and you see Braun Strowman holding the car in place. Now, first off, I'm going to feel if a motherfucker is holding my car preventing me to leave. Or preventing me to accelerate. I'm going to feel the car up in the air. Apparently, Elias Samson didn't feel this. Or the editing crew tonight, which is horrible. So he gets out of the car. Braun Strowman chases him into the building. The camera pans out to the entranceway. It shows Braun tossing Elias out to the stage. They brawl in the ring a little bit. They fight up the ramp. Braun seizes the power slam to the table. Elias rakes his eyes. Then they get back on the stage. Braun tosses him into the instruments. Braun breaks another bass over Elias's back. Then he drops a baby grand piano on his back. And I felt like I was watching the Looney Tunes cartoon or something. So after the piano bit, he throws the piano off of him and then pins him for the 3 count. And they really made this look real with Elias on the stretcher, being stretchered out of there. It wasn't anything special, but it was what I expected it to be. So there's that. We go to Bray Wyatt versus Rhino. This is not even a minute long. They exchange right hands. Bray does something weird where he hangs off on the apron and looks at Heath. It might have been longer than a minute, but anyway, Bray hits Sister Abigail, pins Rhino for the 1, 2, 3. Challenges Matt Hardy to come out. Matt Hardy shows up on the Titantron and challenges Bray to fight him in the at the Hardy compound. I don't know if this is going to be at WrestleMania. I don't know what it's going to be, but Matt Hardy laid the challenge out. So, And if you watch TNA Final Deletion, you have an idea where that's going. All right. Then we go to the Mizzies. Here in the awards are as follows. Uh, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor tied for the best at patting themselves on the back. Kurt Angle won the worst decision award. Um, Kurt Angle was nominated 3 times for 3 different decisions that he made, but it was never made clear which decision won. But Kurt Angle won the award. So then Seth Rollins comes out, and then Finn Balor comes out, and then The Miz challenges. Let me talk about Miz's promo. This was juicy. He didn't really rip on Seth that much. I can't really recall what he said to Seth, but what he said to Finn was some juicy shit. Some Paul Heyman shooting on JBL type shit. So, I forget what he said to Seth, but he says, Finn, you think you're so over with the fans because, or he says, he says, you think you're so over with the fans, right? First he uses the term over, which is the insider term. But he says, hey, Finn, you got to do more to be over than just use a hand signal that isn't yours. This isn't Japan. It wasn't exactly the biggest zinger ever, but it was still a nice little jab, like using a hand signal that isn't yours, and he throws up the Wolfpack sign. So then that leads into a handicap match. Well, Miz basically says that, I was put at a disadvantage facing the both of you, so I'm going to put you guys at a disadvantage. And it's going to be the Miz and Mr. Oz versus you two. We go to commercial break. We come back, they wrestle. We go to another commercial break. The match wraps up where Balor makes a blind tag and then does his little shtick with the sling blade and then the drop kick. He sets up for the coup de grace. Seth Rollins makes a blind tag and then hits the curb stomp on Miz for the win. Kurt Angle comes out and says after that, well, I've already got my match at WrestleMania, but I'm going to tell you who you're going to be facing. You're going to be facing Finn Balor and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match for your Intercontinental title. So with Miz's wife Maryse, his baby is supposed to be due, I think, on the 6th. It's either 2 days before WrestleMania or 2 days after. I think it's 2 days before. It's the 6th is when Maryse is due. So I don't know how they're gonna do that. If we can safely assume Miz is losing, but is he gonna work the show, then take a red eye back home, or what? I don't know. I'm kind of wondering how they're gonna do that. That's 2 matches we know of now at WrestleMania that were announced tonight. We know it's going to be the mixed tag, Kurt Angle and Ronda versus Triple H and Stephanie, and now the triple threat match. Miz, Balor, and Seth for the Intercontinental title. Alright. So Paul Heyman comes out, and this is the last segment of the show. And I'm going to break down Heyman's promo into 3 parts. The first part is a valid point. The second part, I absolutely love the wordplay. I think he might have missed his calling on being a rapper. And then the third point, I'm going to completely debunk. So the first point in the promo, he comes out and he compares Brock Lesnar to The Undertaker. And he talks about how Roman Reigns' biggest accomplishment was defeating The Undertaker at WrestleMania last year. And Heyman says, hey, does anybody talk about the fact that was the only match that The Undertaker wrestled last year? No one talks about that because it's bullshit. The Undertaker is The Undertaker 365 days a year. Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar 365 days a year. It's an arguable point, but it's a valid one. Then Heyman says, Alpha WrestleMania, you need to seek a new opponent. Oh man, that was a nice little gem. Damn, Heyman is. Whew. It's hard to say Heyman's not going to the mic. It's hard to say it. Then he says, this wasn't what I was going to talk about originally, but it's still fresh in my mind. He says that Roman Reigns, you want to call Brock Lesnar a bitch? Well, this title is Brock Lesnar's bitch, and you're eyeing, and you can't have her. That was a nice little shot. Then Heyman basically says that. Well, let me write it down. What did I write down here? Oh, well, he announces that Brock's going to be here next week. And he basically talks about the sacrifices of being the Universal Champion and what it means. And he uses the example, he says, okay, well, what if you get a call Saturday night saying that something bad has happened to your father and you have to go home? You can't do that because as the Universal Champion, you have to defend the title the next night at WrestleMania. And then you can't go home the night after WrestleMania because it's the Monday Night Raw after Mania. You got to be there for that. And here's where I disagree with that. First off, family first. That pretty much goes without saying. Secondly, Brock Lesnar doesn't have the same requirements as everyone else. Brock can take 2 months off at a time. And nobody says a fucking thing. But when Roman Reigns wins, which hopefully he does, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman's right. Reigns is not going to have that option to go home, if need be. Because he's required to be on Raw. And the difference between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, you can shit on Roman Reigns as much as you want. At least we're going to see Roman Reigns every week. When Roman Reigns wins at WrestleMania, we're going to see him the next night on Raw. We'll see him the night after that, the night after that, the night after that. We'll see Roman Reigns on live shows. Hey, we'll see Roman Reigns go longer than 25 fucking seconds like Brock Lesnar did in Chicago with Kane. We'll actually get an actual match from our champion compared to Brock Lesnar. Yeah, so Reigns comes out and basically holds Heyman and says, you say Brock's going to be here next week. Cool. Make sure Brock is here to fight, not talk. And that's how we leave Monday Night Raw. Overall, like I said, this show was okay. It wasn't spectacular. But it wasn't horrible enough for me to say SmackDown won for the week. So, tomorrow I will review SmackDown. I might do the Fastlane prediction video too. I might actually just lump that into one video. Most of the card was shown on Raw tonight as far as what all the matches are going to be. So I'll probably just review SmackDown and just do my predictions. Or I might just make a whole separate video. I might just do that. Who knows? But anyway, this has been episode 65. I'm Warren Freeman. This has been my Raw review. You guys have a wonderful night.